Yo, what's up, y'all? Today we're talking about the 10 games I most regret purchasing on the Nintendo Switch. I'm not saying that these are all bad games, because I rarely buy games that are actually bad. But for some reason or another, I didn't like these games, and I'll explain to you more in depth on why I don't like the games. Let's go. So that maybe you will agree with the reasons I give and you won't make the same mistake I did. Or maybe you actually like the game because of the reason I give. So I'm not saying you shouldn't buy these games. You should always make your own choice, your own decision. The first game, as you can see, is Snake Pass. So when you first look at this game, you might think it's a fun platformer. It has a cute cartoon snake, it's colorful. But that's where you would be wrong. I feel kind of deceived by the developers, because this is more of a snake simulation game than a fun platformer. So you hold ZR to move. It's more like a racing game than a platformer. And then you use the left stick to control the snake's head. So it's unlike anything I've ever played, which is not a bad thing. The problem is, I wasn't expecting a game this hard. I mean, this first level isn't hard, but it gets much harder when you have to fight gravity. And you have to use even this. It's just not fun having to control your head. So when this game first came out, there weren't any 3D platformers on the system. Mario Odyssey wasn't out yet. Yooka-Laylee wasn't out yet. So a lot of people were starving for a 3D platformer on the Nintendo Switch, because Nintendo systems are known for great 3D platformers. But this game had us all fooled. Some people still like this game. Bless their hearts. More power to them. But a lot of people do not like this game. And I would try to play this game before I buy it. Next up is Has Been Heroes. I actually got the physical copy back when I cared about physical copies. It was a GameStop exclusive. As far as physical copies go, you can still download the game off the eShop. That's why I got this. The main reason was because it was an exclusive at GameStop. So it was like a collector item, which is dumb. I really had no interest in this game, but I bought it anyway because it was going to be a collector's item, which is one aspect of collecting that I find really dumb. People buy things just because it's physical, not because they actually want to play the game. I mean, they will play the game, but they don't actually want to play it. When I buy a game these days, I ask myself if I actually want to play it first. I don't buy it just because it's a limited edition and then play it just because I bought it out of sunken cost fallacy. So this game is it's a weird game. Basically, it feels like a mobile game. You just die, and then you go all the way back to the beginning. You die again. All the graphics look like flash vector animation. So it never appealed to me in the first place. Like I said, I just bought it because it was a physical exclusive at GameStop, and that was a dumb reason to buy a game. Now this game isn't a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, it's just too hard to be enjoyable. It's the spiritual successor to Rastan. It was in arcades, the Sega Master System, I think the PC Engine as well. It's just too hard. I mean, the animation is really nice, but to get past one single stage, you're gonna die a lot. Yeah, I really like the animation. It's very smooth. It's really satisfying killing things. They blow up into chunks of blood and gore. But there's too much trial and error, and even if you play the game a lot, there's so much to memorize that it's not fun. So I don't have a good short-term memory. I have a really good long-term memory. So I don't like games where I have to memorize a lot of things. I like games where you have freedom in how you play. With games like this, it just feels like you have to memorize every little thing or else you're never gonna pass. That's why I like games like Splatoon. Because you can play how you want to play instead of having to memorize a set path. This game is another game I regret purchasing. It's another port of a mobile game. The trailer they put online looks amazing, but the game looks and plays nothing like that. Calling it poor man's Diablo is not really accurate nor good. I think they over-designed the game. They have all these dialogue boxes, and the game is too complex for its own good. You see this a lot with games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. So sometimes games are more, you want games to have more depth, more content. Sometimes you want games to be more simple and just get to the point. This is one of those games where you just want it to be more simple, get to the point. I wouldn't have minded if they got rid of all the dialogue, cutscenes, and the gameplay. They added too many layers to the combat and the progression. Orexen, Reixen, or Reixen, or whatever. This is a very weird game. It's a vertically scrolling shooter, but the screen is widescreen. So you're not going to have much vertical real estate to work with. And the levels literally last like 15 to 30 seconds. I'm not even kidding. I'm not saying longer levels are better. It's just as soon as you're trying to have fun, you think you're having fun, the level ends. And the game is too easy. It takes a long time for the game to get challenging. I don't know why, but my save file got erased. I think I might have erased it. It was a rage erase probably. Trying to make space on my Switch. You have all this dialogue. I need to change that to English. But when you're playing a shooter, you don't have time to pay attention to the dialogue. I don't know what the point is. See? And the level is over. What the hell? I Am Setsuna is not a bad game. It's just really boring. It's very rote. It's very formulaic. It's like they didn't try anything new. And the whole game is has a depressing mood. It's all based on the snow, icy wonderlands. All my save data is gone. You see this? The whole game is like this. It's all based on the snow. You don't have much variety in environments. I haven't played through the game, so I could be wrong, but that's what it seems like. When you have games like Chrono Trigger, they went through the whole gamut of environments, you know, volcano, forest, icelands, stuff like that. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 isn't a bad game, but it's not what I wanted in a Dragon Ball game. I just wanted a straight up fighting game. And we will get that later with Fighters. This game is more of an RPG, 3D real-time action RPG. It has nice cinematics, but the gameplay is not. So you can create your own character in this game, which might seem cool, but as a Dragon Ball fan, stuff like this doesn't appeal to me. It feels like fan art. I'd rather play as an actual character that Akira Toriyama made, and not these weird fake characters. So that's why I don't like Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. So NBA Playgrounds isn't a bad game. The reason why I don't like it is I don't like the art direction. It's based on caricatures you see in New York City and stuff. I prefer the look of games like NBA Jam, where they take photos of the players' faces and not make this weird artsy look. And also, the loading times are really long. It takes so long to get points, to get cards. I grinded to get points for a little bit, but I stopped. I wanted Steph Curry, but I never got him. Oh well. The next game is NBA 2K18. If you're not connected to the internet, you can't do a lot of things, which is really a problem with a handheld system without a cellular component built in. And the worst thing about it is, if you play it offline, they make you make a new character every time. I mean, this is so annoying. I can't even skip it. And you know, sports games, they have ridiculously big save files. So, I am not going to make a new character. Part of the reason I regret purchasing this game is because it was also a full $60. A lot of the games on my list were cheap indie games, but this was $60. Big regret. The next game is Sega Genesis Classics. This game is playable, but if you've played Genesis games a lot, you definitely notice the input lag. So if you haven't played these games a lot, you probably won't notice. But Sonic 2 is a game I've played a lot. I can really tell that there's a lot of lag here. So to me, this game is not enjoyable. It's still playable. I can force myself to play it, but why bother? I mean, this is the worst emulation of Sega Genesis I've ever played. I mean, even looking at other emulation ports, like the one on PSP is better, the one on 3DS is better. I've played Sonic 2 on PC emulators, that ran better. This is by far the worst. The same company developed this thing on PC, Steam, and that ran better than this version. I read that it's the same on PS4 and Xbox One. It's laggy as hell. See, after I press the jump button, it takes so long to actually jump. I mean, it's perfectly playable if you're not used to it. But if you're used to the game, it's unplayable. It's like, why bother playing an inferior version? This is the biggest disappointment for me, because I'm a huge Sega Genesis fan. If I didn't really care about the Sega Genesis, if I didn't have a lot of experience with it, it wouldn't be so disappointing. I gotta say, if you've never played the Sega Genesis, this is a really good collection. You probably won't even notice the input lag. So thank you for joining me on another video. Have a great day.